is it harassing witnesses? Yes, they're witnesses against me in my prosecution. And is he yelling things at them? And is he going up to their front doors and ringing the bell? Yes. But they shouldn't be witnesses. They should have been suspects. So it's...
Hey, everybody. That was so quick.
I told you.
I know, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was that quick. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. We're doing a special afternoon show today because of the motion that came out yesterday. And everyone's here today. So with me is Tuesday, Lydia, Ginny Jams, and Julie. And
Julie's like 10 seconds behind. I just warn everyone. So she's here. If she sounds delayed, it's because her Wi-Fi. Go ahead. Sorry, Carrie.
That's okay. So the reason we wanted to come on today is because the attorneys for Jen and Matt McCabe, Nicole and Brian Albert, and Brian Higgins filed a special motion yesterday to dismiss Karen Reed's absurd lawsuit against 5 of the 9 people who were present at 34 Fairview on January 29th, 2022. One of the claims in the motion invokes Massachusetts anti-SLAPP law. So what is the anti-SLAPP law? SLAPP stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. These are lawsuits filed not to win on facts, but to intimidate, silence, punish, and drain the time and money of the defendants. In this case, the defendants, who were the witnesses in Karen Reed's trial, well, some of the witnesses, Jen and Matt McCabe, Nicole and Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, who did nothing more than perform their civic duty, speaking with police and providing truthful testimony at Karen Reed's trial. Massachusetts anti-SLAPP law is designed to shut down lawsuits like this immediately and quickly. If the court finds that the defendants have shown the lawsuit was filed in bad faith and lacks any legitimate factual basis, the burden shifts to Karen Reed. She must finally prove her claims are grounded in actual facts, not speculation, conjecture, or wild conspiracy theories. Put simply, she has to finally produce real evidence, or the case is dismissed before it even reaches litigation. No butt dials, no rumors about Chloe, the dog, being buried under a pool, no videos of ass grabbing, legitimate, factual evidence. So what happens if the witnesses, or now the defendants, win? The case is dismissed, discovery stayed, the defendants are entitled to attorney's fees and costs, and the lawsuit is effectively labeled abusive. I don't know about y'all, but I'm so excited to finally get to see some real evidence with good faith basis from Karen Reed and her lawyers. I can't wait, because in 3 years I haven't seen any. So now that they actually have to produce some, I'm so excited. You all should be too. So let's get into the motion. I think Lydia is going to start us out.
Yeah, so we are going to start, if you are following along with the document, we are going to skip the restatement of the facts of the case. So we're skipping the first 8 pages, and we're going to start on page 9 with the argument. And front and center in the argument is about the anti-SLAPP statute in Massachusetts and how that applies to this action. So if you looked at this, understand that the purpose of SLAPP suits, so-called SLAPP suits, is to chill free speech. And often they are brought against journalists specifically there were a bunch of recent cases. So I recommend that you go out and look at how SLAPP lawsuits have been used to chill free speech and to silence critics. So by their nature is what's implied here. They are not about legal merits. They're not about facts. They're about quelling someone's voice, quieting someone's voice who they disagree with. So that's laid out with some case law at the beginning of page 9. What's interesting on this first page is that it says at the bottom of the page, it says the anti-SLAPP statute applies to state law claims filed in federal court. And as you remember, the defendants sought to remove this to federal court because it involved a civil rights violation, et cetera, and that was granted. So if you go, let's see. So what they, at the bottom of page 10, it says that the way that courts review anti-SLAPP analysis is on a claim by claim basis. So the rest of the document goes to each one of the claims that they move through. So I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice randomly. So they have to evaluate her claims against each one of these Commonwealth witnesses. And they point out in this document that she sees, well, she references in her complaint the witnesses as this conglomeration, which she's been doing from the beginning. So that she's treating them as an entire group, which you can't do. So this document makes clear that each of these claims that she's making, they have to be proven for each one of the witnesses. So when we go through all of the different witnesses, we'll go through each of these claims against each one of the witnesses. But they do point out that it is improper to refer to this group of people as a unit. So they make that point later on in kind of a funny way.
House defendants.
House defendants.
Yep.
Improper. So we'll start with the claims against Nicole Albert. Let me go back over here. The very first thing they say, which is really important, is that there is no allegation that Nicole Albert proactively contacted the police, filed a criminal complaint, or they say even mentioned Miss Reed to the police. Instead,
are we sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Do we have it to put up, or are we?
I do. It's tiny. So let me put it up, and then people can say in the comments if it looks too small. So let's see. Let me go down here. We'll get down to Nicole Albert. Is that too small? I'm not seeing it the way y'all see it on YouTube. So tell me if it's too small. I'll just keep talking about.
Yeah.
Nicole.
I mean, it is what it is at this point.
Yeah.
So. Actually, we can maximize it. Hold on. Oh, never mind.
It just moves it. I know, it's really weird.
Oh, okay.
Mike says he thinks it's fine.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So instead of being an instigator of an action against Karen Reed, which is what the complaint implies, she is just a fact witness. And her crime, according to Karen, is her testimony that John O'Keefe did not enter her home on January 29th, 2022. So, and it's funny because they say this is a very straightforward professional attorney filing. It's not like a Bettero filing. So it's very dry, I guess, but there are some words in here that I found kind of amusing. And this is one of them. Beyond the unremarkable factual allegation that Miss Albert spoke to her husband and friends about Officer O'Keefe's death, the complaint is devoid of any other factual allegations against her. Mm-hmm. So because the claim against Nicole Albert is based on what Karen says are false statements to police about what happened. So she's putting forth that this is factually false, that John O'Keefe did not come into the house. So they are subject to dismissal because the complaint is based on her statements. So for the malicious prosecution claim against Nicole Albert to stand, Karen Reed has to establish that the criminal proceeding against Miss Reed was at the behest of Miss Albert.
Yeah.
She has to show that the termination of the proceeding was in favor of Miss Reed, which it was. She has to show an absence of probable cause for the charges, and she has to show actual malice. Now, showing actual malice is a pretty high bar, I think, in my opinion, saying that someone testifying that someone didn't come into their house on a certain date, for that to get to actual malice seems a bit ridiculous.
Especially when Karen herself never even told the officers that John went into the house that day. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing Karen said. So to go backwards and say you're being malicious for saying the same thing I did.
Right. And she
weird.
and they say later in this document, not only did she not say it, she said she never saw him go into the house. And we all know that changed numerous times since then. But I mean, that's a fact. So that doesn't, I mean, it lines up exactly with what everyone else says.
And then keep in mind too that Nicole, I loved this point. So for her claims to stand, Karen has to prove that Nicole's statements false statements led to her, the investigation into her eventual arrest, whatever, right?
Right.
Nicole, she had already been arrested by the time Nicole gave her statement. Nicole didn't give a statement until February 3rd. Karen was already, she had her, February 2nd was when she had to go in front of court for her, oh my gosh, what's it called? It's slipping my mind right now.
Arraignment.
Her arraignment was on February 2nd. So even just the timing of Nicole's statement completely wipes out Karen's claim here.
Yeah. So the arraignment's on February 2nd. Nicole somehow maliciously causes her to be arrested the day before she gives her statement.
Right.
So it's ludicrous. And we were chatting before this, and I was saying how embarrassing for a real grown-up attorney to have to answer these claims when her own attorneys could have fact-checked this.
Yes.
Right. That was my question. Did they not fact-check this, or did Karen just walk in and scream, "Somebody write down Nicole's name, you pervert"? You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy. Do they just take her at her word?
Yeah. Yes. And just to be,
they don't care.
I think this worked for them in the criminal trial to write these things for the public.
Yeah, true.
You know, they weren't writing them a lot of times for the court. They were saying things that were not accurate or misleading, and knowing that YouTubers and stuff were going to be, you know, sharing that publicly and creating that whole sensationalism. I love this, by the way, with Earl.
Earl, that made me laugh so hard. So
me
true.
too.
So good.
I hate that the comments hide Carrie's face.
Oh,
I want to show.
We'll take it down after everybody sees it. We'll take it down.
I don't mind. You know what?
So good.
One of the wildest things to me is, just real quickly so we can move on, but when we read stuff like this, it just reminds me, and should remind everyone, that these witnesses like Brian Albert and Nicole Albert, all they did was tell law enforcement that John O'Keefe never came in their house. They never said Karen Reed killed him. Karen Reed hit him. Nothing.
Yep.
They don't know what happened. They have no idea what happened outside. You know what I mean? They weren't there. They were in their house with their family, their friends, whatever. That's all they said was he did.
That's a really great point.
Crazy. It's crazy what has been done to these people for literally, that's the only statement that they didn't even know Karen Reed. They never met her before. Just said they didn't come in our house. That's it.
Well, they had met her before, some of them.
I'm talking about Nicole Albert.
Nicole.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So,
I mean,
and that gets to the heart of the anti-SLAPP
right
laws.
Right.
Like, what a chilling effect
Right.
that would have on the justice system, that all these people did was wake up one morning, this terrible thing happened, and all they did was provide information to the police. Like, that is incredibly chilling, and that's why this exists.
Right.
We can't have this in the justice system.
Karen is effectively, with this filing, asking that new law be written for her.
Yes.
I mean, I understand she's Karen Reed. She's the princess of Massachusetts, according to her and her pink followers. But she literally would have to have new law written in order to have this go through, or to have this approved.
Yes. Yes. Right.
Yeah, and I really do. I mean, the delusions of grandeur are such that I truly believe that she thinks she can get that done.
She does. I do believe that too.
Yeah. But remember
the amount of entitlement.
Yes. Remember when there were competing filings this is pre-trial, and Hank gets up and says, as an attorney, I would be embarrassed if this happened to me. That was me reading this document.
Yes.
Where it's so ridiculous. Nicole Albert, gave one innocuous true statement to the police, and this is the result. And I was thinking when I was reading this, imagine your name showing up in a filing like this. Like, how horrific that is. It's just
Not to mention, I don't know Nicole, but I have had interactions in certain ways with her, correspondence and things, and she's the nicest person. Like, it's the image they've created of her is so far from who she is. It blows my mind, actually.
It's so sad. It's so sad.
Yeah. And in this complaint, this is the part of the complaint where it started to get really interesting, because in the next paragraph, they state something that they end up saying over and over again, that, like, the first time I quickly read through this document, I was so excited to read it. I didn't really catch this.
I said, John,
but,
in there and like,
is that me making that noise? What is that? I don't know what's going on. So anyway, they say, while Miss Reed includes an allegation that, quote, one or more of the Commonwealth witnesses then relocated Officer John O'Keefe's body and deposited it in front of the Albert's house. And so that's one of those large nebulous group allegations that she makes in her complaint that is completely disallowed. So in order for her to say Nicole Albert did XYZ, she has to say Nicole Albert placed John O'Keefe's body on the lawn. And she doesn't do that.
And that's her way of trying to avoid this anti-SLAPP provision. But she doesn't do it in the right way. Because like you said, it has to be very specific. She can't just say, like she did in, state court, oh, well, somebody did it. You can't do that.
Right. I mean, any defendant could do that then, right? On their witnesses.
Exactly. You could just
and they list
gesture.
case law. Yeah, and they list case law where people have tried to do that in the past and they failed miserably.
And what's funny is they call her on that, Jenny. So they say it lacks any good faith evidentiary basis, does not avoid application of anti-SLAPP. So what they're doing here is they're saying, I see you. I see what you're trying to do. And it doesn't work, you slimy little man in kitten heels. That's what they're saying.
Yep.
So they called them on that attempt to avoid application of anti-SLAPP, but it doesn't work. So they lay that out specifically. They say she does not allege that Mrs. Albert relocated Officer O'Keefe's body. She simply speculates that one or more did.
Oh, thank God. Thank God Nicole didn't do it.
Yeah, right. And what's crazy is the timing of this is after an interview in which both she and Alan Jackson said, we don't know who did it.
Right. It's not for us to know. Well,
It's
with
not
this type
for
of
us to
lawsuit,
know.
it is for you to know.
Someone
Yeah,
other than
It
Karen did it.
absolutely is.
Someone
Yeah.
other than Karen.
Right. But you can't just gesture to someone other than Karen in a
No,
legal
you
filing.
can't.
That does not work.
You can't. No.
So then the footnote, always read the footnotes, because that's where
Yes.
some of the snark
There's
comes
some
in.
really good footnote notes here.
Yeah. So this footnote says, lest there be any doubt about Miss Reed's misguided attempt to avoid the anti-SLAPP statute, Miss Reed notably omits any purportedly material allegations relating to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So no one in the group allegedly moving Officer O'Keefe's body from her 1983 conspiracy claim against the Commonwealth witnesses, a federal statute that is not subject to the anti-SLAPP statute. And just so in case you don't know, that is actually U.S. code. So that's why they say 1983. So if anybody was reading it and thought we were going back to the 80s, we're not.
Unfortunately, we are not.
I wish we were.
Me too.
It's the best of times.
Yeah, same.
But it is U.S. code, so it's the civil action for deprivation of rights. So,
Lydia,
now-
just really quick, what page? Oh, never mind. Duh, you have it on the screen. I'm following on my own copy too.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
So let me advance because I'm actually reading from page 13.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that's
'cause
where
I
the
have,
snarky footnote is.
Yeah, I've got my own snarky notes on my personal copy, so I want to make sure I'm
Excellent.
keeping up.
Your snarky comments are the best. So, okay, so then they list some case law, and the one that caught my eye is it says, in a notable exception, a court held that allegations that a plaintiff's personal property was removed from her home at some point by one or more of the defendants was insufficient to infer that any of the defendants was liable for the removal of plaintiff's property. Again, you can't just gesture at somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, this is actually the one I was thinking of too. I got a little ahead when I was talking earlier, but that's the exact one I was thinking of.
Oh, okay. So they say at best the allegation, this is at the bottom of page 14, at best that allegation is intended to show that the statements made by Miss Albert to the police after Karen's arrest were false and intended to cover up her own culpability. However, the motive behind the petitioning activity is irrelevant at this initial stage. So the petitioning activity means people speaking to law enforcement. That's what they mean when they say petitioning activity, which is that's what's being protected. You should be able to talk to law enforcement about anything that you witness.
Correct. Without worrying about
repercussions. Yeah.
Right.
From a lunatic.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And someone trying to bankrupt you and intimidate and, dehumanize you so you just go away at some point.
Right.
Right. And the bankrupt part is important. It's mentioned a few times in here that there is a financial, part of the reason these lawsuits are so pernicious is exactly that. A lot of people cannot, spend the amount of money that's required to defend against these malicious lawsuits. And if they were just allowed to happen all the time, no one would ever tell the truth.
$1 million, Lydia, right? Like
Yeah.
that's not a joke. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. And it's just sometimes I feel like it's a bad dream that these people ended up in this situation. It's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't make this up if you tried, right? Like you could never
No.
imagine this in your wildest dream.
No, you would totally say it's AI.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So now we get to just the drama part. So next is part B. This is on page 15. This is a Massachusetts Civil Rights Act violation. So Nicole Albert has personally prevented Karen Reed from the exercise or enjoyment of some constitutional or statutory right. That sweet little lady who didn't even talk to the police until after Karen's arrest has denied her constitutional rights. She has interfered with or attempted to interfere with. Such interference was by threats, intimidation, or coercion. So think about that for a second when you recall Nicole Albert's testimony.
With her rosary beads, sure.
Yeah, with her rosary beads and her voice that you could barely hear. Sweet little lady.
And you know what's so funny about this? If you think about it, you could switch all of these allegations.
You could.
And this is exactly, I mean, here we are again, another example of Karen claiming people have done to her what she has done to others.
Damn.
I mean, you could flip all of this, and this is exactly what she's done to them.
They always tell on themselves, right, G?
Yeah,
always.
And if you follow that guy that I retweet sometimes, that Ryan Dagler guy who talks about narcissism quite a bit, this is a classic tactic.
Yeah.
So project your bad behavior onto everybody else, because if you think about the civil rights that these people have been denied, just going to their kids' games, you know, all of these ways their lives have been changed, and exactly.
They can't go anywhere.
And I just want to point out this Gallagher v. South Shore Hospital Inc. That is not Nan Gallagher, just FYI. That is not case law from Nan Gallagher.
No, because
no way.
There is none.
There is zero.
Good one, G.
Although now she might. Sorry, I don't know why my phone is making so much noise. There might be now that she's on the outs with everybody.
That's true.
There might be some legal action by old Nan Gallagher.
That's true.
Get that $34 bar bill back. Okay, so then they say conduct that could amount to threats, intimidation, or coercion. And the part of the allegation is that she falsely told Officer O'Keefe that Officer O'Keefe did not enter 34 Fairview Road,
along with 9 other people.
Right.
Not
and
just these
who
are
not named in this.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Not even all 9 people are named in this lawsuit.
That's a great point.
And that actually comes up later in this filing. They kind of mentioned something similar to that.
So you're referring to the first responders and everyone else, right?
No, Julie Nagel, Sarah Levinson,
right.
Caitlin Albert, Brian Albert Jr., the 4 other people.
Hold on, let's pause for a sec. Julie, I want to see if you are behind or live. How's your Wi-Fi?
Are you talking to me?
Okay. Yeah, I was checking to see how delayed you were. You're a couple seconds delayed.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think it's going to get better. I plugged something in that was unplugged. I don't know. And then I completely lost my Wi-Fi, but then it started working again. So I don't know.
Okay.
We'll keep checking in periodically.
Yeah.
I had to turn my phone off because all of a sudden everyone in my family is texting me and they're all on override. So don't text me if there's anything important. Put it in the private chat. So now they say all of this, everything that she's saying in her complaint about Nicole Albert is based on Nicole Albert's statement to the police. Yeah, among the 9 others, and John's phone, that he did not go into the house. So they're saying that conduct is petitioning activity next. So then we move on to intentional infliction of emotional distress. And again, just try to remember in your mind Nicole's testimony when you hear this. She says that she specifically is liable for intentional infliction of emotional distress, again related to Miss Reed's arrest. So not once, but twice, she gets the dates wrong. And she knew or reasonably should have known that emotional distress was likely to result from her conduct. Then there is a footnote on this page, and this is an important footnote. This is at the bottom of page 15. Footnote 4 says, Ms. Reed's suggestion that the Commonwealth witnesses are responsible for Officer O'Keefe's death is irresponsible, knowingly false, and defamatory. To deflect her own responsibilities, Ms. Reed has conspired with others to engage in a scheme to defame and injure Miss McCabe and others simply to deflect from Miss Reed's own liabilities. That
Remember those lines, people.
Mm-hmm. There is a lot in that 2 sentences. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to, this is covering this up for me. Let me see. We are going to page 16 now. So the distress, one of the claims that she makes is that in the infliction of emotional distress, the conduct was like extreme and outrageous. So telling the police this man never came into my house, that's extreme and outrageous. It approximately caused plaintiff's emotional distress. And the distress was so severe that no reasonable man could be expected to endure it. No one could be expected to endure it.
She did have to go in a pair of shorts. Like she was filmed in a pair of shorts. That's very extreme.
Yes. The day before, Nicole gave her statement.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true. Right. That was actually in June, I'm thinking of. But yeah, I don't know what she was wearing in
the ability of all
January.
of these defendants to control time is quite impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Very impressive. So then they just repeat, they say the intentional infliction of emotional distress claim is based solely on petitioning activities and subject to dismissal under anti-SLAPP unless Miss Reed can meet the burden of showing that Miss Albert's petitioning activity was devoid of any reasonable factual basis, which we submit she will be wholly unable to do. So there's not going to be a lot of room for arm waving and screaming and running around at this level of the proceedings.
I don't understand.
Not in federal court.
Nope.
I don't understand how she feels like she has a leg to stand on regarding John, the story of John going in the house, because her media statement regarding her calling and texting John while he allegedly went into the house is proven false by her phone records. She never called or texted him until she was like a minute or so away from John's house already. So, and then of course we have Ian Whiffen, who says, explains the whole circular location data and all that. And, they really try to push, like, is it possible he could have walked in that house? And Ian Whiffen's like, possible, but not probable, basically is what he said, right? The way you look at the motion of the GPS. So, and then you've got Trooper Greeno, who's like, he'd have to walk 32 miles per hour.
Right.
To get there and back to the flagpole, another 32 miles per hour. All these things stack up, right? John's
without a shoe. Minus one shoe.
Minus one shoe.
Miles an hour.
Right. Running.
Right.
So it's wild to me that she feels like she has a leg to stand on with this, because it's stacked against her in regards to the evidence that he didn't, like, the witnesses are telling the truth and he did not go in the house.
This is all just for show, though, right? Like, we know that now. This is just all their fairy tale.
And if you
that, it really proves it with this, right? Like, this is all for show. They can't They have
Yeah.
no evidence to show.
And
None.
if you just think about the way things happened with this defense team, if you think about the moment in time where Alan Jackson sold his rights to the story, like remember back when that
Yeah.
was?
Yeah.
So if you've sold your rights
Yep.
and you expect someone to make a production that's going to pay you,
Right.
you can't stop and say, maybe I shouldn't put that in this filing. I still got to keep being outrageous.
Right. And I mean, I always wonder like how, the other lawyers feel, right? That got, the new lawyers, not Jackson. I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah, I
I
can't.
wonder if when he gets this, he's like, what the hell did I get into? Because Jackson promised him. I can't even imagine what he promised them all. So, when you read this, I mean, that's their reputation. I don't know if they're the same kind of person as Alan Jackson, but I wouldn't want any part of this if I was a lawyer.
No.
Right?
No. And many attorneys have told us that. It's not like that's just us saying
No, exactly. Because I mean, if they win this, you're basically the federal court's telling you guys are liars.
losers.
Yeah, you're liars.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that it's gotten this far, honestly. And
I know.
it's so cringy to read it
It is, yeah.
from an intelligent human being writing it. It just must have been grueling. Okay, so they take a second, let me put this back. They take a second swipe at an attempt to avoid application of the anti-SLAPP statute. So they say characterizing her, Miss Albert's petitioning activity as a conspiracy because she allegedly discussed her petitioning activity with others does not avoid application of anti-SLAPP. So, and this is something that's been talked about endlessly on Twitter. Oh my God.
They texted each other. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
How dare they? They just should have
remained completely silent.
Yes.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's
But
so
that's
absurd.
that's a conspiracy.
Yeah. Oh, I want to correct myself. I said John was running. It was skip walking, right?
right. Skip walk.
I just know someone's going to
At
clip
32
that and
miles
be like,
an hour.
that's not true. So,
Yeah, it's somebody in the comments said John was highly intoxicated. I don't know if we have any evidence of that. So I don't
I think
know.
he was. I think we do have
he
his
was?
talk. I think we did have his alcohol level.
Oh, okay. I must have forgotten that. I've filled up my hard drive at this point. Okay, so she's as far as the civil conspiracy goes, so all of these have been knocked down because of the fact that she is doing petitioning activity. So we will go to Matt McCabe, who
Poor Matt.
Poor
Only a
Matt.
couple paragraphs.
Poor Matt.
He didn't really
It's
get that
so-
much in here.
I know it's so sad that he
Not much to say about honest. I mean, I've told you guys Matt's nickname in high school was Honest Matt, right?
I believe
Right.
it. He's so earnest.
I
He's
mean,
like
a lot
a
of these
character.
allegations and the responses are the same, right?
Yeah, a lot of
Like
these.
Matt's is very similar to Nicole's.
Yeah, there's not a lot new, but it's just funny that they're like, why are you even talking about Matt McCabe? Here's one paragraph
Right.
saying this is ridiculous. And specifically, they say she does not allege again that Matt McCabe specifically moved John O'Keefe's body next.
Right.
Yep.
So then they
Thank
go
you.
on. They go on to Jennifer
Jen.
McCabe.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Hmm.
So they, all of these same things apply to Jennifer McCabe. It says the Miss Reed alleges that Miss McCabe provided the police with additional information, including inculpatory statements made by Miss Reed on the morning of January 29th, 2022, along with a large number of other people, just so everyone knows. These additional allegations only strengthen Ms. McCabe's argument that the claims against her are based solely on her petitioning activity, because the reason they're saying it's strengthening it is it's more petitioning activity. So, whereas Nicole said he did not come into my home, Jen had more information than she did because she was with her that morning. So she has
on the
more
right page?
petitioning. It should be 18. Are we on the right page? Oh,
We're
no,
on
I
the wrong page.
left you on
Sorry.
math. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
So, yeah, so more petitioning activity means a stronger defense to anti-SLAPP. So she also does not allege that Ms. McCabe specifically relocated Officer O'Keefe's body. And just for any crazy people that might be listening, she also did not claim that Jen McCabe had a Faraday bag. It's not in the filing.
Good point. Good point.
So accordingly, Ms. McCabe has met her burden of showing that each claim against her is based solely on petitioning activity and should be dismissed under anti-SLAPP. And then she does include one additional factual allegation against Ms. McCabe, that at 2:27 a.m., Ms. McCabe performed a Google search on her phone stating house long to dying cold. The allegation
For the
made,
love of God.
I know, it's so ridiculous. The allegation, Rick Green just picked his head up off a bar somewhere in Florida. The allegation against Ms. McCabe has no good faith basis in fact or in law. Nevertheless, this baseless allegation does not salvage Ms. Reed's claims from the anti-SLAPP statute.
Nope.
She can only avoid anti-SLAPP dismissal if this alleged conduct relates to the elements of the claims brought against Ms. McCabe. So the footnote says, at the second criminal trial, it was unrebutted that the Google search at issue occurred at 6:24 a.m. Indeed, the evidence at trial revealed that any contention that the Google search at issue occurred at 2:27 was based on a fundamentally erroneous reading of the information. Ms. Reed did not rebut this evidence.
That's huge.
Yep.
Huge.
Huge.
Huge. And I love this point. I think I'm getting ahead again, but I'm going to go ahead and get ahead. That, again, here we are, just like, Nicole Albert giving her statement on the 3rd, February 3rd. This Google search has nothing, even let's just assume it were true. It had nothing to do with Karen Reed, with criminal proceedings being initiated against Karen Reed. It would have to have been one of the main reasons they used to initiate those proceedings. And it had nothing, this didn't even come out until months and months later when, well, whatever, I'm not going to get into all that, but
That's a great
take
point.
forever. But this search had nothing to do with her being arrested, bottom line.
Correct.
So she cannot use it in this lawsuit for what she's claiming.
Julie, did you have anything you wanted to say? Sorry, I know you're delayed, so I just want to give you a chance. Oh, you're on mute. Oh,
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I know I'm a little behind. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Like you are all frozen for me. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to say is there has been a lot of criticism about the Testify website. And when we look at this answer, when we look at the witnesses saying, hey, we were attacked and we were harassed and all of this happened to us because we were doing a protected activity, which is speaking to the police. And their whole point is that people should not be afraid of the justice system. So I'm hoping that these things make a little more sense and maybe in the future refrain from criticism, especially people who have suffered and endured years of harassment. And for the people questioning, we're here, it is concrete. They have been harassed. The Testify account sends out the messages these people have received. There are videos put together to show you the harassment. So my ask is just, you really look at this request to dismiss this lawsuit and you look at that website in a new light, and maybe you'll start to understand where the witnesses are coming from. So thank you guys. And I'm so sorry I'm behind.
Bravo. Bravo, Julie.
Well done.
Right. There's been a lot of criticism.
And now it's
really really strange people too.
They're all frozen for me.
And Julie's dead on with that. You know, you might want to think about it a little, what these people have been through, and take another look at that website.
And we obviously get a lot of messages about our content as well. And one of the things that's very clear from the negative messages that we receive is that there is a perceived threat by these people, even being able to speak in a very minimal way. Even just, you know, John talking about his friend John O'Keefe. They want him silenced.
They do.
They want Chris Albert silenced. They want Carrie Roberts silenced. It's a pattern, and you can see the pattern in this filing. This is, you know, we can't have people unable to testify to what they saw in the justice system. We can't. And this is going past the criminal proceeding. They want them silenced in their own lives. They don't even want them to be able to speak now. So,
and I think before Lynn, I know we'll get right back into the motion. Just one real quick thing. I think if you guys really start taking a look, I know who Julie was just speaking to, you know, about all of your negative comments about the website and everything else. You just take a look at the past week or so of the people who you are believing and idolizing and, you know, taking everything they say as gospel.
mm-hmm.
What you've seen, I think you really might want to take a hard look at what you've come to believe is the truth, and you know, really think about that. I've only
who's been framing the truth for you.
Yeah, and it's pretty clear now. There has been a lot of criminal activity going on, but you know, it hasn't been from the witnesses or John O'Keefe's family or friends. I don't think anyone can deny that at this point. So, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's a really important point. And you're right. It's been a wild 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it gets back to, I mean, if you read this last paragraph about Jen, I mean, that's really relevant to what this says, right? This reads, irrelevant and specious Google search allegation confirms that her complaint against Ms. McCabe and the other Commonwealth witnesses is the exact type of act of revenge designed to stifle petitioning activity that the anti-SLAPP statute's designed to prevent.
Correct.
I mean, it's exactly, there it is.
They did a really good job on this.
Yeah.
And then trying to smear again. I love how they put parentheses again.
Yes.
Jen with these frivolous claims and trying to claim that she had something to do with John's death. And all she did was tell the police the truth, bottom line. And for that is why Karen Reed is suing her and all of them for telling the truth.
Yeah, to law enforcement, to the people that are supposed to protect us. It's just insane. But and I'll go look, but I'm just going to, this is my opinion. I'm not stating a fact. In my opinion, this type of lawsuit and intimidation attempt, etc., is probably more common in drug and racketeering cases. If I had to guess, I haven't gone and researched it. This is just an impression, but this is the kind of activity that I can imagine happening in these large multi-defendant drug cases that the prosecutors podcast, that's the vast majority of their federal cases are these big drug cases. And even Alan Jackson made that comment that there were drug and gang witnesses of his when he was running for DA that had experienced this kind of intimidation. So
remember all of that we found?
I do.
And we were like, yeah, we were mouths wide open reading some of the stuff he wrote.
Yep.
Really, I mean, that's where he got his groundwork for all of this,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Even if initially it was Karen's idea, the groundwork came from his experience with the drug and gang activity.
Yep. Major crime. He was working in major crimes in Los Angeles. And that's the vast majority of what they're dealing with. And this is, a couple of people who invited people over after they went out. It's not a drug and racketeering organization. It's not a gang organization. But the tactics.
So you say, Lydia.
Yeah, those Faraday bag moms. Worse than the Crips and the Bloods. Yeah, so revenge, I thought, was an interesting word. I'm glad you pointed that out, Jenny, because that's exactly what it is. And again, nothing that she said resulted in Karen's arrest. None of these things have anything to do with each other. So,
and I think that's the point people need to remember. All of this would have had to have resulted in them taking action against Karen Reed. That is the main point of this. And it did not.
Nope.
That was not their investigation, or them investigating her was not pivotal on these statements or on that Google search.
Right. And the activity that she talks about, so even if you leave out the inculpatory statements, if you leave out all of these critical things that Nicole and Matt and Jen told in their petitioning activity to the police, the things that are not included in anything that happened prior to her arrest are all their conversations with each other. They're innocuous conversations about a traumatic event that happened at their house, the texts, all the, ominous implications that were given to those and mentioned here, their communications with each other, all of that, or the vast majority of it, was after her arrest. So none of it led to
exactly
her arrest.
I have a really hard time it just feels very high school level, where mean girl mentality, where it's like, to me, interpreting some of the stuff that she has done, it almost feels like she is mad at the witnesses for not protecting her. And so she, like on a high school level, and obviously create, an analogy of this, but it's like the witnesses are saying, as if, they're in class and Karen cheated on a test, and the witnesses were interviewed by the teacher, and they're like, yeah, I saw her pull a piece of paper out and look at it in the middle of the test, and that, Karen's like mad because they're not protecting her and saying what she was hoping they would say. That's what it almost feels like to me sometimes when I'm reading this. It's retaliation. I mean, there's this entitlement every time she speaks. I mean, the entitlement of how she should be arrested, the entitlement of, the audacity that they gave her jeans with holes in them when she told them to give her the jeans.
Told them to.
Instead of a pantsuit. I mean, this is privileged entitlement here. And it always just kind of gives me this high school feel to it.
Well, I think she's always been retaliating against Jen from day one, from when she told her she saw her outside of the house, right? Because that ruined everything, right? When she said, I left him at the waterfall, and Jen said, and then when Jen woke up and Matt was like, what are you talking about? We saw her outside. That ruined everything for her. If no one had seen her outside that house,
yep.
I mean, that was game over for her plan.
She was hoping on that for sure.
Wouldn't you think, if you were this mastermind that was attempting to Railroad, Karen Reed, wouldn't you say I looked out the window and I saw her back up at 24 miles an hour?
There's so many things they could have said
Oh,
if
yeah.
they were framing her.
We say
Yeah,
that all the time, right? When we talk, like all she had to say was on the ride over there, she told me she hit him and that she thought he was dead and she drove away. It's over.
Mhm.
I mean, this makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
The cops could have painted the blood right on the back of that car.
Right.
I mean, there's so many things they could have done. Why would they even bring in a 6-person CERT team in the middle and bring in more people into this alleged lie? I mean, it's when you try and debunk the conspiracy, it's like easy. It's like the easiest thing ever to do. When you're trying to debunk Karen reversing it, John, you can't unless you ignore Dr. Welcher's testimony and you ignore a lot of these things instead of looking at the totality of evidence.
And I lost my train of thought. What was it? And I was going to say, who is on video messing with the taillight? Karen Reed.
Karen, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I mean, it's maddening. It really is maddening.
But you know what's good? You know what? I mean, it's not good because there was no justice for John, like John Jackson said the other night, right? Which really hit me, when he kept saying that.
I know.
That there's never going to be justice for him, the justice that he deserved. But I just don't think this is going to play in federal court, their games. I don't.
No.
I don't think that I don't think it's going to
It's
play.
not.
No,
I think it's pretty clear with this filing.
Mhm.
It's not. We talked about this a little bit and we've still got a lot to go in this, but after reading this, I have no idea how her petition stands. Like, I really don't.
No,
or
I
how
don't
her
either.
suit stands.
No, it seems like it's zero odds to me.
I hope so, right? Like, I hope. I don't know this judge. It's I'm pretty sure I told you guys earlier. I think it's Denise Casper who. The only thing I know about her, she sentenced Whitey Bulger. I've read a few things about her. She's supposed to be fantastic. So just fingers crossed that it's a judge who's not afraid and to stand, to do what's right, and hopefully it'll be different than the criminal trial.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Am I behind?
Yes.
No.
I look at Alan Jackson now, the way he's behaving. He's almost like a boxing promoter, right?
Right.
And he's got this contender.
Yeah.
And he's taking her around to interviews and he's doing interviews and he's talking. I don't think his little act is going to work in federal court.
No.
They're not interested in that garbage.
Well, he's not going to be allowed to do any of it. I mean, bottom line, he will not be allowed to act that way in court.
No. They're not going to be able to hold up posters of fake Venmos and
Yeah. And all of this that Karen's doing, she's just very vindictive. And it's how dare you ruin my reputation. Nobody ruined your reputation, Karen. You did that all on your own. It's not Joe McCabe's fault. It's not Matt McCabe's fault. It's not Nicole Albert's fault. It's 100% your fault. The text stream data shows that you reversed in a very erratic and dangerous manner. And then it shows John stopped moving. That's all on you, sister. It's not on anybody else.
Nope. You left your tail out at the scene, lady.
Yeah. And I noticed we've got Kevin backstage. Do you want to add him and to this conversation here that we're having?
Sure.
Next, we're going to talk about the federal investigation, but you want me to bring him up?
We got to get through this.
Yeah. Bring him on.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, ladies.
Hey,
Kevin.
How are you?
Very good. How you doing? It's nice and cold out.
Hi, Kev.
Yeah.
I wanted to put on my Patriots shirt for tomorrow, but I couldn't find it.
Oh.
Oh. Mama Llama representing.
Yeah.
Nice. So my Wi-Fi is still a little slow, Kevin, but we're just going to get through it. We're just going to
and let me know if there's any, for some reason, my my headphones wouldn't hook up. So I'm just going through the speaker. Let me know if there's any feedback issues, because I usually there
you sound great.
Yeah,
you sound good.
Thanks.
Okay.
Did you read the motion, Kevin? Did you?
I haven't read through the motions yet. No.
Okay.
Okay.
We're still
I read
getting
through the
through
shorter
it, but
ones
we'll
that
get
were
there.
posted online that Ginny commented on.
Okay. So there's not much left before we can move over. So we'll go back to this bit because there is a really important part coming up. And so if you're following along at home, we are on page 20. So let me make sure we are there. Is this page 20? The bottom's cut off for me. Can y'all see? Is that page 20?
Yes.
Okay. So the important part here is we've moved on to Brian Albert. And the important part here, she's making all the same allegations, except with Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, she brings up the issue of their cell phones. So she says, so in the opening, answer to the cell phone issue, this filing says, for example, whether Mr. Albert, quote, destroyed his personal cell phone, the characterization of which is disputed, is not relevant to Ms. Reed's malicious prosecution claim, as the only conduct related to the initiation of her criminal proceedings is his conversations with police. So again, the cell phone has nothing to do with whether or not she was arrested. Right. And then the footnote for this is, while not relevant to the court's inquiry on the motion, the evidence will show that Ms. Reed's phone destroying contentions, both with regard to Mr. Albert and Mr. Higgins, are false. And we all know that.
Yeah. And I like the point where it says they conveniently omitted that either Albert or Higgins had any obligation to retain their phones. They left that part out.
And what they also left out is on October 5th, 2022, Judge Cannone denied Ms. Reed's motion for a subpoena to access Mr. Albert and Mr. Higgins' phones. Finding the defendant has not met her burden under Mass R Criminal P17, the court is not satisfied that the requested phones contain information that is evidentiary and relevant, nor is the court satisfied that the application was made in good faith, which is the important part of this sentence, and is not intended as a general fishing expedition. The court did so again on June 20th, 2023. The court held Ms. Reed had not shown with credible evidence, relevant or admissible evidence will be found on Albert's cell phone or in his cell phone records even.
Yeah.
The court
That's
noted,
that lamb prawn that they like to act like they're allergic to, right?
Yeah, they love lamb prawn.
They hate it. No, they hate it.
I know, but I mean, they abolish it.
Yeah, Karen's going to get rid of it.
Yeah, she's going to single-handedly abolish it. The court noted that the single unanswered phone call from McCabe to Albert shortly after O'Keefe's body was discovered is insufficient to establish a meaningful connection between Albert's cell phone and the criminal case against Ms. Reed. The court similarly found that later communications between Mr. Albert and McCabe were not relevant to the question of whether or not Ms. Reed was criminally liable. So again, they could have thrown their phones into the Grand Canyon. It doesn't matter what they did with their phones. Right. It's not relevant. So then we move on to Brian Higgins. Let me go to page 21.
Do you want to get some water, Lydia? You want me to take it for just a second?
Water.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, you have it right there. Perfect.
Yeah, it's cedar fever. It's just allergy. So same issue with Brian Higgins. The allegation does not prevent application of the anti-SLAPP for all the same reasons that Brian Albert and Brian Higgins. Actually, you know what? Brian Higgins wins in Brian Higgins versus Matt McCabe. I think he has fewer words. I'll do a word count later. But we have even less to say about Brian Higgins because Brian Higgins didn't do anything. So C is that Miss Reed cannot meet the, let me switch, she has no factual or legal basis for, she can't meet her burden showing that their petitioning activity led to her arrest.
Right.
Let me see. I don't think there's anything on this page. Stop me if you have any snark notes, Jenny.
Hold on.
That was all for Brian Higgins, 2 paragraphs.
Yeah, I think it was less than Matt McCabe. I'm going to do a word count later. My word counts.
Also, just to point out, his statement was also made on February 3rd after she had already been arraigned.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So now we go on to Sorry, what?
No snark notes. Keep going.
Oh, okay. So now we move on to a very, very important detail. Hopefully I'm on the right page here. Am I on page 23?
Yes.
Okay. So besides Miss Reed's own statement to the police, there's undisputed evidence that O'Keefe never entered 34 Fairview. He was found covered in snow on the front lawn, but no snow was found underneath his body. This is so critical. And this was pointed out in the trial, and I feel like, there was so much noise, people weren't taking it in, but it's really, really important. He was injured at the time Miss Reed dropped him off prior to the blizzard conditions.
I want to say real quickly is that a lot of people who are pro the conspiracy theory, they try to point out the photos of the scene after John was removed and there's snow. And it's worth pointing out here that not only was the snow trampled on, it was high blizzard winds. That snow was moving. It was when, they had to unbury John's body and head. And so there was a lot of snow being moved around and walked over and all that.
Photos were taken like 2 hours later.
Right.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. So.
And the really sad detail in here is Officer O'Keefe was also found missing one shoe. According to trial testimony, the missing shoe was located hours later under snow next to the curb where Miss Reed dropped off Officer O'Keefe. Officer O'Keefe's shoe was also full of snow, which is
very important.
Punch.
Yeah, very important.
In addition, Officer O'Keefe's shoe was found near pieces of broken taillight. Mm-hmm. Officer O'Keefe's cell phone was also found underneath his body at the second trial. And I talked about this in the second trial that, he was shown with his cell phone in his back pocket at some point. That was his habit, obviously. And if you think about the physics of an accident where there's a moving object and the moving object strikes the still object, and those objects, and they talked about this, they're going to move at the same speed, right? So if you imagine the weight of his cell phone, he's moving, his cell phone's moving, obviously his cell phone is going to come out of his pocket. He's going to land on it. And, it was underneath him on the grass. And it's the idea that anything happened to his phone where they're moving it around or putting it in a Faraday bag or whatever, when his phone was found underneath his body at
right. And even in the security camera, right at the bar, you can see him put his phone in his back pocket. That is where he kept his phone.
Can I just add something real quick? So, back in the summer of 2023, when I believe that 227 was real, the search for how long to die in the cold. So I believe something must have happened here. And I was trying to make sense of this. I couldn't make sense of how that phone stopped moving at 12:32:16. So I was even conjecturing the possibility that Brian Albert was smart enough, or maybe Brian Higgins inside the house as police officers, to, once they knew something had happened to John, they knew to get rid of the phone and they threw it out into the yard. I mean, those were back in the old trying to speculate about what happened, because it just nothing made sense, right. And the phone was a key part of what didn't make sense.
Right. Until you know what really happened. And then it makes complete sense. They were traveling at the same speed. Exactly. They came to rest at the same place at the same moment in time. And then, of course, and let me see if I have this here. And then you have the correlation of the temperature, the cell phone recording the temperature of right here, the backup event. And it does nothing but drop until Carrie picks it up and puts it in her pocket.
And so the defense wants this whole garage theory. That's where the garage theory came from, was they were trying to combat this temperature, showing that the degrees in his temperature was dropping. It did not raise. It immediately started going down, but they couldn't get John in the garage. That's why you hear Karen all the time say the house or the garage
Mhm.
because they need the garage, but they can't get them in the garage.
Right.
And so it's like they throw these things out, but if you actually sit down and you try and put the puzzle pieces together, it doesn't fit.
When the temperature was devastating, so that was a real win by, Hank and that team is getting that cell phone temperature, because even the stupidest theories that you just aren't even going to entertain, like the Faraday bag in the back of Jen's car, it doesn't work with this steady drop in temperature that can only happen outside in the snow underneath, a body that is cooling, with the temperatures outside. It's just disgusting.
Plus, the phone has to
honestly.
stop moving. You can't. They don't explain
Right.
it.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that throws all those dumb theories out the window. And they reference that in here. It says trial evidence also revealed that Officer O'Keefe's phone temperature dropped from 82 degrees Fahrenheit around midnight to 55 degrees. So, and one of the things I found kind of interesting about this is it's obvious that the phone temperature started to drop as soon as he got out of the car, because 82 degrees isn't even body temperature. It's already cooler. And it dropped from 82 degrees Fahrenheit around midnight to 55 degrees Fahrenheit just after 1 a.m., which is so just sad to think about. Consistent with Officer O'Keefe never entering the home and remaining on the front lawn.
Right. And it's worth noting here, I feel like every time I hear these things, I automatically hear these like responses
Yes.
from Karen supporters, like just echoing that, the common responses. And one of them is, well, why didn't the degrees continue to go down? And so I know this is probably common sense to say, but needed to say, John's body was not at 0 degrees. It was not at 32 degrees. John was found at 80 degrees. The body takes a very long time as its temperature moves down. So his body was laying right on that phone.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Okay. So, let's see. The the statements, they talk about Miss Reed making incriminating statements. Carrie Roberts getting at 5 a.m. Miss Reed telling her John's dead. Carrie, I wonder if he's dead. It's snowing. He got hit by a plow. It talks about John's niece saying that Karen was acting frantic. She was screaming. She also, this is of note, told police that Miss Reed changed her story several times while talking on the phone. I think that's super interesting.
Yeah.
And these are important because Karen has to meet a burden here where she has to show that Jen's statements have no factual basis, right? So what they're doing here in this paragraph is backing up, well, actually, look at all these other people that said things very similar or the same as Jen.
Right.
So she can't meet that burden.
Right. Yeah, that's so interesting.
There is kind of one thing that I think the state, I don't know if this is, I wouldn't know if I'd call this a mistake, but it's a little bit of a contradiction. You can't say that Karen was trying to cover things up or thinking about ways to cover things up as early as, 5 a.m. and at the same time say that she was confessing at the crime scene. That's always been an issue for me. If she's already in cover-up mode, she wouldn't be saying at the crime scene, I hit him.
Well, she was in panic mode, though.
Yeah.
I think, at the crime scene.
Yeah.
And she was still drunk.
Yeah.
She was still drunk.
I mean, I didn't really think she was in cover-up mode at 5 a.m. And then when she was there with everyone and actually, he's there, the police are there, the firefighters, I think she was just full-blown panic mode.
But you admit it's a contradiction, right?
I don't.
Yeah.
No.
So not with just like, I think she was just all over the place, right? That's what I think.
I think she's
and I think the alcohol contributed. I mean, she was still drunk.
I think
about
she
when you're
was
drunk.
yeah.
You vacillate. You go from here to there with somebody that's intoxicated. So it's
yeah,
not
and I also
surprising
think because I get what you're saying, Kevin. I also think her cover up, right, by telling Jen that she left him at the waterfall.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, she, like Hank says in the closing statement, she hangs up the phone as soon as Jen says, "What are you talking about? We saw you outside." She calls Carrie, says that. I think she was trying to cover up.
I agree.
And then at the crime scene, like, I feel like she was just like, okay, this, like, nothing's working.
But she also, you could see, she has that histrionic personality, and you could see, you know, somebody posted the clip of that weird, crazy eye roll she was doing in court where like the demon is trying to get out of her body.
No, I texted that to you yesterday. Yeah.
And that shows you that she's constantly in these altered states. Like there she is sitting in court, but she's also looking like a demon is about to escape her body. And she goes from, you know, sitting at the table to just like screaming and grabbing Alan Jackson in that one clip that gets passed around as well. I think she's unable to control a lot of her impulses. And so I think she could have been doing both.
I think she was obviously very drunk. Her brain, her memories were foggy, and she had patches of memories. And I think she was trying to kind of push the story away to point at someone else. But I think also it was like, if it was me, it was an accident. Did I do it? You know, I hit him. It's like she was trying to, she was going through all these thoughts as she was running around in circles and saying things, and as her memories were collecting back. So yeah, I just think people who are drunk don't make sense.
Right. And people who are histrionic also sometimes don't make sense.
That's true. Yeah.
So when they say that, they allude to some of these things. So they say that she, did I skip? Am I on page 24? This thing is covered up.
It's on 25. There's 24.
So at the bottom of 24, they say that her own statements undermine her challenge to the factual basis of these witnesses petitioning activity, which is really important. So if Karen Reed is the one undermining the factual basis, that has a lot of weight, right? She is the plaintiff. So she's saying she said to police she was drinking the night before. Her intoxication is proven from video surveillance at the bar, receipts from the bar, a blood test administered the following morning. We know she was drunk. This is not in dispute. And she also told the police herself that her taillight had been damaged the night before, but that she didn't know how it had been damaged. Right. So she's saying, well, they're all lying and trying to put me in jail and depriving me of my rights, but here are the facts that I'm backing up for you.
Yeah. So again, like Earl said,
can I say something that's not in either of these things? Yes. Karen Reed told her father after he told her that John was dead, that she remembered hitting something last night.
Right. I think I struck something.
Yep.
Well, we don't know that. That's what the father later said on court TV or on one of the interviews. So just because the father said that could have been part of a strategy that they were. I don't believe that this. I don't really strongly believe that Karen did say that to her father.
You think they made that up?
Yes, because that was around the time when they were trying to make it plausible that Karen backed into John's Traverse, and that's how she broke it.
Well, but then he goes on to say, I backed up and then I struck something, or I went in reverse. I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he said exactly what happened.
I just think he's a very intelligent, careful man, and he's going to be very strategic in what he says in an interview, something he's thought about for a long time and rehearsed it with the lawyers probably for a month before he did that TV interview, which was 2 years, a couple of years after the crime. So at the very least, we don't know for sure if he's just adding that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know for sure.
But I mean, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a straw on the top of the pile for sure.
Yeah.
Let me put this back. Okay. So let's see. So this case should be dismissed. So, they go through the way that the case should be dismissed. They say, can you determine that the factual allegations present a reasonable inference that the defendant is liable for the misconduct alleged? And obviously not. And it importantly says that, okay, so one of the things about these anti-SLAPP suits is the judge doesn't have to address any of the facts in the case. That's not what is at issue here. But it does say a court may consider matters of public record, including documents from prior state court adjudications, in deciding a blah, blah, blah motion. So then they get to the really, like, the most basic technical fact in the entire document, which is all of her claims are time barred. So the anti-SLAPP statute, the 1983 conspiracy, the Massachusetts Civil Rights Act, the intentional infliction of emotional distress, and common law conspiracy claims must be dismissed because they are all subject to a 3-year statute of limitations that had expired. And they go through the dates that she would have had to file by, and they say even if it was, what did they say, as late as June.
Yes.
She didn't file this until November.
Yeah.
But even if
and
on
her,
the most generous timeline,
it would have had to be it would have had to happen November 17th, 2022. That's
and her
that's
prosecution does not toll those dates either.
No.
So if someone says that to you on Twitter, the prosecution has nothing to do with it. It doesn't toll any dates for her. She had to make those. She's past the filing limit.
Had she been found guilty, it would be a different story. She was adjudicated. Right. She was not found guilty. So no, it does not. She cannot go to, she can't move her time forward. It starts when she was arrested or, at the beginning of this.
Right. And it says, so they talk about how when Karen got the extraction from Jennifer McCabe's cell phone, which was June 10th, 2022, and it says that she even used this June 2022 evidence to support a Rule 17 motion filed on September 15th, 2022, in which she argued the exact same theory that she presents in this case. She says that they gathered to get their stories straight at Brian Albert's house. So she says, even if the document says, even if this awareness came after November 17th, 2022, that does not modify the requisite accrual dates. So, I mean, they go through this point by point tearing apart of the entire complaint. And then they're like, oh yeah, and by the way, time's up.
Yeah. I love that they put this, like they didn't use this one first.
I know. We got to read all the really good stuff. And then they're like, by the way.
Oh, yeah. P.S. Like we didn't even need any of that because boom.
Right.
It's like the Uno reverse card,
Right?
It totally is. It totally is. So it says, so then all of that to say at the end, it says, thus, any effort to revive Miss Reed's otherwise untimely claims by relying on the Commonwealth witness's testimony at her criminal trial should be swiftly rejected. So anyway, I don't think there's really, do you have any more notes towards the end of the document, Jenny?
Let me look really quickly. If you guys want to keep talking for a second, let me look.
Sure. There is one footnote. Let me get to page. Let me see if I'm at the right page here. I have a footnote I want to read. So there is a footnote and it says the complaint also intentionally omits critical facts that were available at the time Reed was arrested and prosecuted, which further support the probable cause determination. The Commonwealth's June 2022 statement of the case notes that Miss Reed admitted less than 12 hours after finding Officer O'Keefe's body that she did not see him enter the residence the night he died, which is consistent with the statement made by the Commonwealth witnesses. So once again, Karen Reed framed herself. And she denied her own civil rights, and she caused herself intentional infliction of emotional distress, etc. Additionally, medical professionals told law enforcement that Miss Reed stated on various occasions on January 29th that she may have hit Officer O'Keefe with her car. So Bill Reed doesn't even matter at this point. A court may consider, and this is where it goes back to all of these statements and everything that happened in the trials, a court may consider matters of public record, including documents from prior state court adjudication, in deciding a Rule 12b-6 motion to dismiss.
Oh, this is the part I'm sorry. Are you done, Lydia? If not, keep going.
Oh, well, I was just, what, malice is the next thing. Do you have something before malice? Before
Malice is on. Yes, I've got something on 30. This was
okay.
One of the bars she has to meet is showing that these witnesses literally induced a police officer or someone else to lodge these formal complaints, right? And they bring up this, offhanded, far-fetched relationship that Proctor may have had with Kevin or Julie Albert. And, they ask basically, did the witnesses through Julie Albert then, relay information to Kevin Albert, who relayed information to Proctor? And even if that did happen, what was the information? Because we have no proof of what that information may have been, right? So she can't meet that bar either. She cannot show that these witnesses induced an officer to file these formal charges against her. So she fails there as well.
Yeah, and I can't remember how they said it or where it is in the document, but you can find it, that speaking with another person who engaged in petitioning activity about their petitioning activity is okay. You can do that.
Right. Yep. Yep.
So
and just by making their statements, that is not inducing an officer to do anything. They're literally just giving their statements.
Right. Ugh. So then we go to, let me go back here. Oh, do I have it on there? Why is it saying remove? Uh-oh. I don't know what's going on. Sorry.
Well, hello, guys.
I don't know what's happening. Okay. I don't know why it's like this. I don't know what's going on.
We could just leave it.
We're just going to go with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we get to malice. So malice is defined as a wrong or unjustifiable motive. Generally, the malice element requires that the accuser knew there was no probable cause for the commencement of the action and that the accuser, so in this case, the defendants, acted with an improper motive. The malice analysis is largely duplicative of the probable cause analysis. For the same reasons why the malicious prosecution claim fails under the prior two elements, it fails to show that the Commonwealth witnesses acted with actual malice. So this part I found really interesting. So there is, let me see if this is the footnote. Well, they have a footnote on this page and it says, let me switch you here. It says, tellingly, the complaint is devoid of allegations that the Commonwealth witnesses harbored any personal animus towards Miss Reed or even gave statements or testimony that would have implicated her in Officer O'Keefe's death. So this is this thing we keep talking about. Why didn't Jen say, I looked out the window and I saw her back up at 24 miles an hour or any of these things? None of these things happened. Merely reporting that Officer O'Keefe did not enter 34 Fairview cannot be reasonably established that the Commonwealth witnesses acted with actual malice towards Miss Reed, which is really kind of ridiculous when you read it out loud.
Yeah.
And then it says, let me go to the next page. It says dispositively, the complaint fails to allege any coordination between the Commonwealth witnesses and state actors. So there is no basis for the court to infer any relationship between Proctor, Buchanan, Tully, and the Commonwealth witnesses, let alone a relationship, quote, pled in some detail that is sufficient to impute state action. And then there's a little tiny bit of snark. The confusing proposition that Proctor, Buchanan, and Tully, quote, coordinated with the Alberts and McCabes through Proctor's sister, Courtney, who communicated frequently with Julie Albert, does not salvage the claim. So this is them laughing.
This was the part. Okay, yeah, this was the part I was thinking of.
Yeah, where they're laughing at Elizabeth Little holding up a picture of Sean McCabe on a poster or whatever. It's this kind of ridiculousness that they're saying this does not salvage the claim. You can't just say Colin was a ring bearer in somebody's wedding and that means something. So they say that for this to work, it would need to find that an agreement between the Commonwealth witnesses and law enforcement was somehow established through the through 3 levels of back-channel communications involving 2 individuals who Miss Reed does not allege participating in the conspiracy.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Notably,
that's kind of what I was thinking of earlier when I was thinking of like not all of the 9 people that were in the house are listed.
Right.
You know, I was thinking about this statement. Like she's leaving out people that would have to be a part of the conspiracy and the conspiracy.
Right.
And it shows you that the way, the tactic of throwing out something that sounds so sinister, you know, and worked for them with Free Karen Reed does not work here. So they can throw it out, you know, and they can imply something, but an implication is not strong enough to survive this. So they say, notably, the reader is left to guess what, quote, confidential information Courtney Proctor purportedly shared with Julie Albert, or what Julie Albert purportedly shared with the Commonwealth witnesses. So you can't just say, I know they said something. I don't know what it was, but they said it. Such speculation cannot satisfy the high bar necessary to impute state action. And then it says about what might have happened cannot save an otherwise inadequate complaint.
It sounds like her same argument with Lampron. The reason why she needs to change it, you know, she says it's because how am I supposed to know what I don't know that I know somehow in the back of my head is on their phone. So I have to have that. I don't know what it is, but I know that there might be something. So you should just give that to me. This is the same thing.
It's so ridiculous.
Meanwhile,
she's not a fishing expedition.
It is.
Right. Meanwhile, she won't give over passwords.
Right.
She's wiping her
phone.
phone.
Because hers is different. Hers is a fishing expedition, according to her.
Yeah.
So insane. Yeah.
Is this the end right here? I just want to make sure we get time with Kevin.
Yeah. So then we can just quickly wrap this up. Common law conspiracy. They even say she doesn't allege what conspiracy is happening. And then the Massachusetts Civil Rights Act, that doesn't work either. We can kind of skip through that. But there is one interesting note at the end. It was about their testimony. Let me see. I clipped it. Let me add this. So it says, I don't know what page it's on. Concerning here is the implication that the Commonwealth witnesses are to be associated with the indictment and prosecution of Miss Reed because they testified for the grand jury.
This was such a great part.
It was so good. And they say, by failing to allege that the Commonwealth witnesses participated in the indictment or prosecution in any other matter, Ms. Reed is essentially asking the court to infer that since the statements that caused Ms. Reed's wrongful arrest were elicited as part of evidence presented against her at trial, the Commonwealth witnesses should be associated with Ms. Reed's prosecution. Of course, the complaint fails to mention the Commonwealth witness's testimony explicitly because, as Ms. Reed and her counsel are well aware, it is black letter law that trial witnesses are entitled to absolute immunity from civil liability for statements given during judicial proceedings.
Yeah.
Thus, any effort to revive her untimely claims by relying on the Commonwealth witness's testimony at criminal trials should be swiftly rejected. So they knew that, and they included it anyway.
Yeah.
Because that's just their tactic. But they can't be considered, their testimony at trial cannot be used as a sword here.
No. So in conclusion, this should be completely, well, I like what they're asking for in conclusion because this made me laugh. So basically, if the complaint is dropped, they're asking for attorney's fees. And I really hope they get them.
I hope they get them too, because it is a frivolous filing. It's obvious from reading this. This is a frivolous filing. This is what the statute is designed to prevent.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. And in conclusion,
so why do you think these attorneys went along with this? Like, I get why Alan Jackson did it, right? Because that's his meal ticket. But these other new attorneys, why are they going along with this? This is, I mean, they look like clowns. Why are they doing this?
Continued jury tampering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just all for show with them. I don't think they care. If this gets thrown out, they'll just scream corruption at the federal level. I don't think they care.
I don't understand how the bar allows this.
I don't either.
You know, there's got to be some kind of ethical obligation where the bar steps in and says, you're clearly trying to manipulate the public right now, or you're at least trying to market to the public. And why would you do that? Why are you trying to push a narrative into the public so intensely? I mean, it's not even like kind of doing it. It's like they practically have, you know, I don't even know how many media people they've sat down with and aligned themselves with. So, I mean, there comes a point, right, where how is this allowed?
Well, I don't remember.
There doesn't come a point in Massachusetts, I don't think, for some reason.
Well, one attorney on Twitter, and I don't remember which one, told me when I kept asking about the BBO, they said they're self-policing. So you got a bunch of attorneys sitting around saying, you know, should we discipline one of us? No, we shouldn't.
Right.
So that's pretty gross.
They rarely do. They rarely do. Just like the feds rarely discipline themselves, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start our own organization. We would be some good police.
Forensic room, BBO. None of us are attorneys, but that's okay.
Like things like this, misfiring, other civil suits to come. Like I think that's the only way people are going to see.
Yeah.
How ridiculous this is.
Thanks for doing that, Lydia.
That was great.
Yeah, thanks for reading through everything.
Yeah, you bet.
Appreciate it.
You see through all of this how much that federal investigation really changed public opinion.
Yeah.
And why I think it's the most important part of this, because if that hadn't happened, you know, it would have just been Karen Reed and her attorneys, but the public started to believe it because the feds were investigating. And now that we know all these things, I mean, you know, let's take out the people that believe in the conspiracy. These are educated people. These are seasoned people that investigated this. They have to know. Adam Deach knows that there is nothing there to support Karen's claims. And yet he keeps bringing this case up in his campaign. And it's got to, like, Leah Foley has to know that, they were snookered. Like, she fooled them. I don't know why there isn't any activity, especially with, you know, Deach out there being so bold. If I were him, I would just crawl into a hole. I don't know about you guys, but I would crawl into a
Oh,
hole.
yeah. Oh, it would be humiliating.
Yep.
Or run for a position where you can help make things stop. Control things a little bit, right?
I would either
Touche.
run into
Right.
a hole or run for district attorney of Norfolk County.
Under the premise of we're going to fight corruption
Right.
that
Sure
he
we
didn't
are.
find. I
And
don't
if
know.
we have a change in administration, who do you think is probably going to be up next for U.S. attorney? There'll be another change.
Mhm.
I'm not going to say her name, but that would be my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anything new come up or anything?
No. And, we have people looking, and obviously, I want to kind of drill a little bit just into the word corruption. Corruption could mean criminality, but to me, it doesn't have to. To me, if you do something that's unethical, but might be legal, that's corruption. So, for example, violating the sequestration order, which the U.S. Attorney's Office did to communicate with Dr. Wolf during the first trial, that seems to have been, as far as we know, legal because of dual sovereignty for the feds to be able to do that. The rules didn't apply to them. Doesn't mean it was not corrupt, in my view, because it's completely unethical.
Right.
So now I'm not, and again, I also want to be careful. I'm not accusing any specific person of being corrupt until we know the evidence.
Right.
But there's certainly more than enough smoke there to do an investigation. We need to know who from the U.S. Attorney's Office was communicating with Dr. Wolf, who was communicating with Karen and her team. How extensive were those communications? How deep were they? Those are things that need to be investigated. Who set up that meeting with Josh Levy back in the summer of 2022? And again, there's nothing illegal about that, but all the more reason that we should know. Since it's not illegal, come clean. Let's get some daylight here, because the rest of us would not be able to get a meeting with the first first assistant U.S. attorney, and no other murder defendant would be able to get that.
Right.
No other murder defendant would be able to sick the FBI on the trail of the police that are investigating them. So if we in the public can't do that, it may not be illegal for her to have used her personal connections, if that's what happened here. But then all the more reasons, get some daylight on this and let's find out what really happened.
And Kevin, why do you think Karen would have texted Aiden Carney a organizational chart of the U.S. Attorney's Office?
Right. And telling him exactly how high up Josh Levy was.
And where Adam Deach was.
Yeah. And she mentioned that.
Right. It's not just that. We went back and found Kevin. Aiden and Nick Rocco were throwing around Adam Deach's name back in 2023.
Yep.
They were throwing around that name. You think that was just a guess? Like a lucky guess from the chart? I don't, I doubt that.
The woman who Karen graduated high school with, whose twin sister Karen is friends with and has gone to her wedding. This woman works for the U.S. Attorney's Office, Ann Peruti. She has co-prosecuted cases with Adam Deach, and her husband is now the campaign manager for Adam Deach's run for office. Now, again, none of this may be illegal, but it stinks, and it needs to be investigated.
Right.
I mean, imagine they talk about, someone bringing another person donuts in the Albert family.
Right.
But
that's
part of the conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
But this, I mean, come on. This is like, the connections are wild.
Yeah.
So Aiden clapping back on Twitter at someone in July of 2023 saying, "Do you know who Adam Deach is?" That's significantly more impactful than a butt dial in a box of donuts.
Yeah. And
What
Rocco
was the
Nick
date on that
Rocco
again?
Facebook.
July of 2023.
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
I think you have the screenshot from Facebook though, right, Kevin, of Nick talking about Deach back in 2023?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just very poorly organized. I remember seeing all those texts back in the day through Natalie, and I didn't organize them in any way. So fortunately, we have you ladies got access to documents right at the tip
I've
of your
got
finger.
you covered with the text messages. Just you wait.
Yeah. So we just
Yeah,
kind
we
of
are working on a
sometimes
project.
listen.
Lydia's been doing like the heavy lifting, but we're working on a project that I think probably everybody has guesses that that's what it was, but we are going to bring you the proof of that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, sadly, the
but you know what
mainstream
it
media
reminds
doesn't
me
pick
of?
this up, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I wish somebody would. I mean, we're throwing it all out there. Like, I mean, why aren't you looking at it? Like Sue O'Connell, I
Oh,
know you're on
Yeah.
Twitter. Why aren't you seeing it? But the
because she's
thing with
not a
Peruti
journalist.
and yeah, Karen using possibly her connections. When we think about Karen, we think about the people that are in the U.S. Attorney's Office. It reminds me of that text that she sent to Higgins, where she's like, I feel like we're just alike. We're from the same neighborhood.
Mhm.
And that's kind of the theme of probably how she got the U.S. Attorney's Office to listen to her.
Yeah.
And I think, we know in June of 2022, when she was arrested, she was saying it was Colin and Brian. We know it was in the September 2022 filing that they had put. That's the first time they debuted it. And I think based on the things that I can go back to, her conversations with the Fed started in August of 2022. I think Karen is very clever. I don't know that she's smart, because I think some of the things she's doing right now aren't very smart. But as far as clever and knowing how to exploit things, people say, why would a guilty person go to the Feds? Well, look at the political climate there.
Mhm.
She's not, she's very clever when it comes to exploiting things. And she knew she had gotten all these other people to listen to her. Some of the text and messages that we've shown, according to Karen, David Yannetti was in the weeds with these rumors. So you've got this former prosecutor, this defense attorney, talking to local yokels about pools being filled in with concrete. So if she can get David Yannetti to do that, which she didn't know if she could, we saw that email. She didn't know if he was going to play ball. She was probably like, I can get people to believe whatever I want them to believe.
And that goes back to those improper communications. It's one thing if she just had that meeting and went in and they laid out their case, and then if it was to work normally, then that's it. Then there's no more flow of information, and there's definitely no flow of information from the Feds to them. It should be a one-way street, and they should just unleash their investigation, the Feds, at that point. But when I talked about today, the fact that Karen, I find it suspicious that the federal prosecutors in front of the grand jury grilled Colin about accusing him of being a drug dealer. Now, this kid's never been arrested or anything to do with drugs. So where would they get that idea? Well, at the exact same time that was happening, Karen, well, I want to be careful the way I say this. Sean McDonough was pushing to me, based on various angles, the idea that Colin was a drug dealer. But among the main angles on that was the fact that Karen was sent out by John to film someone on the street that was dealing drugs. And we now know the name of this person, and that person is a 27-year-old guy who was brought to justice. It was not a 17-year-old high school kid. But Sean was pushing this me. I didn't know at the time that Sean was talking to Karen and to Karen's confidant, Peter Murphy, who I wouldn't even have heard of back then. And so that was based on a true story. John did send Karen out, and that video ended up going into discovery because John, after Karen took the video, John texted it to Kevin Albert, because he was friends with Kevin, detective on the Canton Police Force. So it seems very likely to me, don't have proof of it, that story went to the Feds about the drug dealing from the federal camp. It was the same time it was being pushed to me. Well, why is in the summer of 2023 the information flowing that way? Is it just calling up the Feds every day with their latest theory and their latest accusation? They were just playing the Feds like they played Turtle Boy and like they played the rest of the public. It's insane.
It is insane.
Yeah, I mean, she has embarrassed that office. You would think they would want to come out and save their reputation, like she's trying to save her reputation, because they look like fools. Like, I was thinking today, as far as John's arm, most of us have dogs. If you have a dog that either bites or scratches you, because there has to be pressure, some kind of bruise forms around that cut, that scratch,
Mhm.
that superficial marking. A piece of plastic blowing up and cutting the arm doesn't have that kind of pressure when it makes that
Right.
surface wound. And it's just, you know, I mean, like you're talking about the federal government, they didn't have the critical thinking
Right.
Well,
to
he was
think about
also
that.
laying in ice right afterwards, and snow and cold temps. I
Well,
mean,
they
I
did
remember.
though, right? Because the federal government's the
Oh yeah.
medical examiner they hired said that it wasn't a dog bite. Hank said that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but then they
Right.
continued to, yeah, they
Right.
continued to investigate though, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, and they
and they never,
continue to use the feds as, the feds are the ones that are saying she wasn't hit by a car. The feds are the ones, and it's like they curated what contracted employees,
Right.
what helps them in their own thing, but you never once hear them talking about how it ruled out a dog.
Right.
Right.
That one person's opinion, right? I mean, that's
Right.
not,
I do
but
think the feds were duped. And
I do.
and I do think
too.
even at the time when it's a fair question to say, why would Karen enlist the FBI if she was guilty? And I think that there is probably a point in time back then, and maybe even now, where Karen convinced herself she was innocent. And I do also, I talked to a lawyer who had spoken with David Dinetti in the hallways back, like before this case became big, but after Dinetti had taken it up, and he believed this was his big case and that his client was factually innocent. I do believe that there was a time when they believed that. The difference is once the feds started investigating it and realizing, I mean, they're getting the content of the messages of these people in the house, and they're realizing that there's no cover-up going on. They lacked the integrity to come clean, and
Correct.
instead
Right.
they kept going, knowing that this was destroying innocent people because they had invested too much in it. And that's what's disgusting.
It is.
And Kevin, you think about what a huge story that is. If there, were journalists who were looking for the story of the decade, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where are they? Like, and I'm not even talking about Massachusetts. I'm saying, where are the journalists? Like, why are we doing this?
well, they were silenced, a lot of them, right? I mean,
But
Nancy
what if you're from
Grace.
Kansas?
Huh?
What if you're from Kansas? I mean, I know the people in Massachusetts were probably felt
Well,
threatened.
No, I
In
agree.
order-
I agree. Like
in-
that's their job. What are you doing?
Yeah.
In order for
Agree.
Kansas to care, it usually has to have a reason, right? It usually comes from other media talking about the story. They're not the ones investigating a story that's in a different state typically, right? So it's the transfer of information, and the people that were getting this story were only telling a certain side. The people who were speaking up and trying to really tell it as honestly and truthfully and as full of transparency were being bullied online. They were
Right,
being doxxed
not
online.
anymore, right? Like, and then all of this is out with the feds and stuff. I think,
Right.
why aren't they picking this up now? No one.
And what about law and crime? I think about that a lot. They have a lot of people that work for them that dig underneath the surface of, criminal trial stories and other types of crime adjacent stories. Where is that person, that Brian Enton, or that, one of those people who's like, something doesn't seem right? Because I know they see what is out there
Could
on
it be
X,
that could it possibly be that the people that were skeptical or don't believe the Karen Reed conspiracy theory all along because they believe that the whole idea is crazy, and they tend to be people that don't believe conspiracy theories, so they don't want to go the other way and buy into a conspiracy involving Karen and the federal government? Is that possible?
Well,
Is
I
that
think
part of it?
too, right? Like you and I talked about this, Kevin. I mean, a lot of people don't want to go up against the feds, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, you start
Yeah.
questioning them and writing about them and everything. I mean, I'm not.
We need Hank.
We need real journalists, though. Like you say, like Harry was saying,
Yeah.
that's what you don't go into journalism, mainstream journalism. I mean,
Right.
your job is to try to, in theory, speak truth to power and get to the bottom of things.
Exactly.
This is also aligned with politics, though, and a lot of our journalists these days are telling their reporting with their politics kind of intertwined in it, you know.
Yeah,
and I
that's
think a
true.
lot of the journalists in Massachusetts that were covering this case, you could kind of see where their politics were aligned with.
Mhm. Well, I think too.
What is a
I
bigger
asked all the
story
girls.
than
Go ahead, Jill.
you've got the federal government, you've got this huge bureaucratic, I mean, it's the strongest part of our government, and they're going in and they're violating the Fourth Amendment. They're going in and they're violating people's privacy, and it's search and seizure. They went in and they went into their iClouds and they took all of their information. I mean, what is more valuable to you than what's in your phone for the past 5 years? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no one seems to be questioning that. They had no basis to do that. You can't look at this story. Coco. You can't look at this story and say that they had any reason to do that. That should scare the living daylights out of every single person.
The same for the basement, right? They think they
Yeah.
should have been able to go look in the basement, and that it was such a flawed investigation. They didn't look in a basement. And it's like, what are you guys talking about? If an officer came to your house because there was a victim on the side of the road near your house, and there is no evidence pointing that at anything that the person ever even went into your house, you have a person out there that said, I think I hit him, she's got a broken tail light. All the witnesses are like, this man never even came in the house. I mean, there's just so much. And people are like, there was probable cause for them to go look in the house. No. And we talked about this on Spaces, about the difference between probable and possible. It is not a possible clause. It is a probable cause to go search your home. The same thing goes with your phones. You have a level of privacy as a citizen.
And now they seem to be hiding those affidavits. They're trying to slow walk that, because each one of those, now that the investigation is officially over, each one of those people that they got an affidavit for is entitled to see what that probable cause was used, and they're slow walking this. Nobody's been able to get it.
Yep.
So it's fair to say this is a cover up that is ongoing. That's not a conspiracy theory.
But the thing about the media that really bothers me is there are two things that journalists should take an interest in. One is this filing, where because the slap is so often aimed at journalists, that should be an in. Like, they should take note of that. Why are people being silenced? That's just a tenet of journalism.
Lydia,
but the other thing,
1 second, how you just said that. So I just asked Ginny to check to see if any media has covered the witness's motion to dismiss, and only one, masslive.com. So no other media in Boston. Imagine if this was Karen Reed's motion to dismiss.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure. You remember all these law tubers? I think Schoenstein, of course, you've got Betterow, all these people that show up on YouTube, Peter Tragos. They were like, Karen's filing was like, it was just like great legal writing. You guys, her filing was shit. I'm sorry, but that's what it was. It was based on nothing. And you morons, because you knew that it would bring the crowds. You knew you would get the views. It's pathetic.
But that's the other thing that I think is right up there with this being a slap action, is traditional media is nearly extinct. So we have this horrible trend of Aidan Kearney and law tubers and people who are Grant Smith Ellis pretending that they're doing a journalism. They are not doing a journalism. And the real journalists, their outlets are disappearing. Newspapers are disappearing. all of these platforms that they had to do real journalism are disappearing, and they are disappearing. And if there's going to be a last gasp of traditional, true journalism with journalistic ethics and journalistic practices, it could be this. It could be this federal scandal if all of this turns out to be true. And the story of these people being tortured for a drunk driving, homicide that happens every day in this country.
I'll never forget the bizarre video that came out about exactly a year ago. A video put out by the Boston Globe that was like a 5-minute video saying that it would be crazy if the second trial also ended up in a hung jury. It would be crazy to pursue a third trial because of the cost.
Remember that?
I was stunned by
Lord.
that. I'm like, and I went out right away and I posted on Twitter. David Yannetti has some contacts at the Globe, and he commented. He said, "Boy, this David Yannetti guy is a pretty powerful guy." Yeah. It's funny. He said this week to me. He said, "I don't mean to." I had said that he blocked me, which I probably made the mistake of. You know how like with Twitter, it is a comment is under a comment is under a comment. Yeah. I went to go to reply something. I thought I was replying to his, and it did show me the message saying that user's been blocked you. And he said, "I'm lying." No, I didn't lie. I just obviously made a mistake and hit the. But
they don't know what a lie is, by the way.
No, they don't. They need to look up that, especially Nick Rocco needs to look up what that means. Mm-hmm. But so he said, I don't mean to insult you or something, but I just don't respect you, so I never reply to you. So and he's like, he goes, I hope.
But he respects Grant.
But so they're having all kinds of fun with that. But the thing is that's like the 4th time he's replied to me in the last couple of weeks.
Right.
So,
interesting.
I saw that. It's funny.
And it's like
I'm responding to you to let you know I never respond to you.
Yeah. It's like that dude could not hurt my feelings. He's a proven liar.
No, 100%. Any of them.
Sue me. You lied to Gretchen Voss, as I pointed out, and saying that you never had personal contact with Aiden, and then the state got the phone records. So sue me for libel. You're a liar, David Yannetti. I'm very careful about anything that I accuse someone of to make sure that it's accurate.
Yeah, he's a liar. Yeah,
that's like when Mark Betterow comes out telling everyone, clutching his pearls and what people are doing. Dude, you wrote a filing about Jen McCabe buying Kate Peter a couch, and about no respect for you. No one cares what you say. No one.
Nope.
You're also a liar.
Yeah.
And I got permission from them too. So after I posted that Terry, the owner and the director for the documentary from Unsolved Mysteries, the Discovery ID documentary, I posted how when they filmed twice with me, and the second time, the first time I didn't even know that they were the Karen Reed documentary. I didn't even know they were a big documentary crew, because I would say yes to talk to anybody as long as I felt they were going to be fair, And then they showed up with a big crew, and then but they didn't give anything away to me. But then by the second time, I had found out that they were the Karen documentary, but Terry was very open, and I remember exactly where she was standing. They were packing up to leave when she told me at this point all of them loathed Karen Reed and considered her guilty. But she didn't even point out Jackson. She pointed out David Yannetti for what he did to Allie McCabe on the stand. And when I said that, Yannetti reacted to that too. And he said, and for the record, Terry loved me. No, she didn't do it. And I called them this week to see if make sure they weren't mad that I said that. And nope, you're good.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Kevin. David Yannetti bothers me more than Alan Jackson does. I mean, with Alan Jackson, you know what you're getting. David Yannetti tries to clothe himself in, having ethics, and that man has none.
Nope.
He's a liar, and he's done some horrible things.
And I agree with you, Kevin, and I retweeted that comment because, first of all, it's a badge of honor not to be respected by David Yannetti.
Right.
But what he did to Allie McCabe, I will never forget.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Disgusting.
And he's a parent. What is wrong with him?
And that's exactly what Terry said to me. And it was her. And Yannetti corrected me to say, again, I'm a liar because I said that he had 3 daughters. I have no idea what he has for kids. It was Terry that said and I can't believe he has 3 daughters of his own. So she was the one that made that mistake. But
I mean, these are the things that he points out, like, oh, you're a liar. It's like,
Not I destroyed a
not-
little girl.
Yeah.
not that you got that wrong.
yeah,
you
I got that
know,
wrong.
or
He lied
this-
about whether he talked to Turtle Boy. That's a lie.
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they do. They twist things and they exaggerate certain things. I mean, we know Yannetti was using hyperbole all the time to the point where even Judge
Yeah.
Canone was like, all right, quit it. Quit the hyperbole.
Yeah. Quit it.
Do
I
we
mean,
have
he's
this
also
clip,
throwing
ready
up
for-
bikini
for-
pictures of a firefighter, and
Disgusting.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Do you guys have the clip
maddening.
ready from Yannetti saying the feds could not, in all good conscience, let
Yes.
the case go forward? Do you have that ready? I don't clipped up.
no, but I have it.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah,
it.
we need to play that. I don't think we have it, but
Yeah.
yeah. So are you doing a show tonight, Kevin? Are you doing a show on the feds tonight?
Yeah, I'm just going to go on and talk about it some more, whatever we didn't have time to talk about today
Yeah.
on the feds and stuff. So it's 7 for a little while, and anything new that's come up. I haven't had time to research any different shows or anything like that. Had a busy week.
Well, I think
I've
you and I
noticed
both
more
agree
people
that-
are talking about the account deletions. So I saw from people I'd never seen before, really, accounts I hadn't interacted with, are saying, here are the Perudi's deleted Pinterest accounts and
She
stuff
deleted
like
her.
that.
Yeah. So the researchers
Yeah.
found her that she followed Karen on Pinterest and Karen followed her. And when we reported that, we showed a screenshot of that on Twitter. She deleted it. So she's following what's going on.
Yep.
But what we
So
hope is
Kevin,
that
do you know anything about Pinterest, about when it started? Do you guys remember Pinterest, how it started?
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't
I
just
love
get on
Pinterest.
Pinterest. It wasn't like a Twitter or Facebook.
Right.
You had to have
It was an
somebody invite
invitation.
you.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh.
correct. And then it was, so the connection there, I mean, you had to be pretty close friends when you started that account with the person you started following. So, yeah.
It really was
that's-
like a follow me, follow you thing originally.
Yes,
and then
originally.
It kind of,
Yep.
and then it kind of. I mean, you still can, but I don't think that's still
not
how
the
people
same.
really. Yeah. So
yeah. And you
it
had
was
to get an invite
likely
from
a long
somebody.
time
So
ago.
it actually, that Pinterest connection is more important than the Facebook connection, because if you knew how Pinterest worked in the beginning, then you knew why
and it's
so
also
important.
it's also one of those platforms that you forget if you're trying to hide a connection, right? You'll be like, oh, well, we can unfriend each other in here and unfollow each other here. But the Pinterest thing, that's something that can slip people's minds for sure.
Correct. And it apparently did. It slipped their mind. So, I mean, I remember when I got on Pinterest and I had to get an invite from a person who was part of our friend group because she was already on there. So, I mean, that would be great for a journalist to go through that, because if you understood Pinterest back then you know how that happened. That wasn't just happenstance. That wasn't just, hey, oh my gosh, my friend from high school is on Facebook, I'm going to send a friend request. It was
Right.
much different.
I had a girlfriend that was in federal law enforcement, and they were instructed not to use social media.
Yeah, I
Oh,
wouldn't
I
if
bet.
I was.
I have a friend whose relative is their job in law enforcement, is being on social media and being connected to people who are of interest.
Right.
But Kevin, Gigi has a question for you. How does this happen?
How does what happen?
Just this kind of activity with the federal government in a very common criminal case.
I mean, that's what we have to find out. We know that just let's say what we know. We know that Josh Levy was first assistant U.S. attorney, which is kind of like chief of staff underneath the very powerful U.S. attorney. The U.S. attorney is the federal chief law enforcement for the region of Boston, has 120 assistant U.S. attorney working under him, and or her. And at the time, Rachel Rollins was the U.S. attorney. And Josh Levy had competed for that job, wanted it very badly, but the compromise was I got that from Rachel Rollins herself, and he was made first U.S. attorney, but he wanted her job. And eventually, this shows the feds do have internal investigations, and ethics investigations against Rachel Rollins pushed her out, and she was replaced with Josh Levy. So by the time of the grand jury, when that took place with the Karen Reed thing, Josh Levy was now the U.S. attorney. So all those people working under him, yet he did something no one else can ever find any other example of, where a U.S. attorney came down and, along with Adam Dietz and another attorney, questioned the witnesses. It's just unheard of. So was it ambition? Did Karen come in and sell them on? So she used her connections possibly, or connections by her lawyers or whatever, to get the meeting with Josh Levy. And then they made it, her and her convincing lawyers. Netti's a good lawyer. Alan Jackson's a good lawyer. Sold him on the idea that maybe there was something here. Like they sold a lot of people, like they sold me originally. And they didn't have the integrity to keep asking the hard questions we did, though, as to whether or not this conspiracy theory made any sense. And as they had more evidence coming in, they didn't have the integrity to say, you know what? We were duped. There's nothing here. They continued to, as Hank put it, put their thumb on the scales of justice all the way through the first trial and seemingly beyond, by leaving this investigation ongoing. And it would probably still be officially classified as ongoing now if it wasn't for the change of administration, which led to Leah Foley taking over. And she took a look at it and said, no, this is ridiculous.
Can you imagine, Kevin, if it was still up?
It would still be officially ongoing, because it
would be.
Yeah.
Like,
but other than the friend connection, so that we surmise,
we don't know, we don't know, right?
But other than that, what is in it for them? That's the part I can't understand. What would
headlines,
be in it for the U.S. attorneys?
Yeah.
Adam Dietz is running for office based on these headlines, and imagine how much even better it would be if there actually had been a real conspiracy and he had helped uncover it. He'd be out there now actually saying, yeah, we uncovered the great conspiracy, that framed an innocent woman. He'd be saying all that. So all those people probably saw those kind of headlines. Josh Levy, probably the same thing. What ambition? Josh Levy didn't come back into working for the U.S. Attorney's Office so he could be assistant U.S. attorney. He had some higher ambition, whether it was to be a judge. We know he wanted to be a U.S. attorney, but even that's probably not did he want to be judge? Did he want to be state attorney general? Did he want to be ultimately someday U.S. attorney general? He had some ambition, and that's ambition makes people wide-eyed when they see an opportunity to get headlines like that.
I guess that's sick.
Well, I mean, and then you had the Birchmore case. I think that one was opened before Karen's case. So
it was opened after.
And that really was corruption.
But it was opened about a year after, at least about a year and a half after.
So you think Birchmore was after? I think Birchmore was before Karen.
Well, we only know what was in the Boston Globe articles. I did a post on this week.
Yeah.
And the Boston Globe articles were pretty extensive. And we know that they didn't start questioning witnesses until winter and spring of 2024. And that would make sense because the indictments came down in the summer of 2025.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that they actually investigated. See, a lot of people on both sides want to tie these investigations together, and I totally understand why. But I don't think there's any connection. And I do believe that the investigation into Birchmore, which was great and seems to have captured a real killer, I do believe that even though Birchmore died a year before John, the investigation into that started a year and a half later, as far as we can tell. Maybe something else will come out down the road. But
yeah. I mean, well, we do know that obviously it was a public corruption division. And they had that overtime scandal, right? There was that. Mm-hmm. There was another one, the CDL.
CDL, yeah.
Yeah. So that was going on. I think I'm lagging a little bit, but some of these people that get into these government positions, I think, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, guys, they're just trying to dismantle our government and the systems. I mean, you look at like a Kim Fox in Chicago, so that's closest to me. They don't want to prosecute anybody. The only people that they really want to prosecute are people that have public service jobs. And I get that same vibe from Levy and Chow and Deitch. Like they're not interested. They're not interested in taking criminals off the streets. They're just interested in attacking the government organizations. And I have a lot of opinions on that. I'm not saying that there's not corruption. I'm not saying that there's not terrible people in those institutions, but then you start to wonder, what is your end goal? So if we destroy everything, what is it that you want? Like pure anarchy? Like we're not gonna prosecute people that are out, robbing people and killing people. We're just gonna, in Chicago, which is closest to me, it's kind of like catch and release. Like you can commit a terrible crime and you're out on the streets a day later, and then you have these people focused just solely on government corruption. So it's just a weird environment that we're currently living in. And I think Karen Reed really exploited that. And she found people that was their interest. Sorry, I'm behind. I can see you guys all
no, you're
not.
I don't
You're
think you
actually
are
not.
behind.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's
No, we're just
doesn't
taking
feel
it
behind
all
to me.
in. I'm convinced that I was just talking to my husband the other day about this. I think people who experience a conspiracy theory that is actually true, and they dig through and it becomes an actual truth, it becomes addictive to them. They suddenly are looking at everything through these conspiracy goggles and trying to connect dots in every little way that they can. And it's almost like a dopamine rush of trying to find the true, how, someone is really the bad guy and they're really going to figure it out this way. And it's a puzzle that they create with these red herrings and these whatever. But anyways, I'm probably going on a tangent, but we were just talking about that. And I'm like, I could see how that can be actually almost an addicting way of approaching cases.
You guys do a lot more true crime investigations than me, but I know that like everyone that I've whenever you look into an unsolved one where there's enough information on it, you do find, as you said, red herrings. There's a lot of odd things and in pretty much every one of these big cases. And there's a temptation to try to connect as many dots as you can. But like I was telling someone the other day that I'm helping her with a similar case in the Boston area. They said, not all these dots are going to connect. Just understand that. That's what Grant doesn't understand. Not all these dots are going to connect.
Right.
And so it's worth looking into to see if some of them do. But the reality is in every case, there's going to be some odd things that happen that you just don't connect and you never really get the full explanation. And, it's just kind of,
I think it would be a fun experiment to do. And I started playing around with it at one point a while ago, and I probably should change the topic that I did, but I tried to pick two things and try and create, like, could I connect random dots to an absurd theory about these two things?
Mhm.
And it was Karen Reed is Michael Jackson. I tried to think of something like so absurd.
Right.
And I was able to create this like list of, her outfits that matched his outfits. And you know what I mean? Like you can connect dots. There are always going to be dots, as absurd as a theory can be. And it's, you need to have a healthy dose of totality of evidence to make a logical conclusion on something. And that's just what a lot of these conspiracies lack.
And a willingness to break your own,
your
own
out of the
theory.
rabbit hole. Yeah.
You got to be willing to test it, and you have to be willing for it to fail. And then you move on to the next thing. I mean, I think we all had some misconceptions about this evidence before we really dug into it. I know I did, and you have to test it. My theory about the 227 thing, when I just saw it in passing, and that was my introduction to the case, was, she got her friend to Google it for her so it wouldn't be in her search history. That was my first, inference that I made, and it was wrong.
Mhm.
You gotta be willing to see where that goes.
Right.
Take
Right.
it all the way, see what happens.
Right.
I didn't freak out when I was wrong about that.
One of the things that I did in the book was I developed these rules of thumb that I had just developed from the cases I had looked into. And for instance, just one of them was even about the unreliability of witnesses whose testimony is not backed by other witnesses or other physical evidence, which would include data. And it's not necessarily that they're lying, but there's false memories, and there's, especially if it's a high profile case where people want to, there's a certain type of people want to insert themselves into events. This is the big event of their lives. And you see this in every high profile case. So, that was one of the rules. The other one was, about dot connecting. And there's just different rules of thumb that you don't have to have looked into 100 cases and learn these things, these general observations. And, but they're little common sense things that you develop and that's really just common sense street smarts.
Kevin, you said that we follow more true crime than you do. I think, Carrie and I watch trials all day, every day. But one thing that I did notice coming into this trial, these two trials in this case, is that the characters move from one conspiracy case to another. So a vast majority of the nut jobs that I interact with on this case, I was interacting with them in Delphi, and Kylie Rodney and, all these other wackadoodle cases. So there is a core group of weirdos that love a conspiracy and love to let murderers out of jail, that they move in a group from case to case.
Oh, so like you've seen all these people before?
I've seen many of them before, yes.
Really? Okay. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yep. A lot of the content creators, they moved from Delphi to this case. Yeah. And they'll move to Luigi. Watch my words. They will move to Luigi.
They've also moved backwards too. Like they've moved from Karen to Delphi.
Back to Richard Allen.
The shift in some of these people, what they're covering.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I was watching last night, which real quickly, I didn't ever pay any attention. I don't know why, Lydia, to the Wade Wilson case.
Oh yeah.
Never. I don't know why. I think it's because he scared me. I have no idea, but I never paid any attention to it. And I watched a documentary on him last night, and even he had like a $90,000 GoFundMe. I almost fell over.
Is that the guy with the tattoos on his face?
Yes.
Oh, I never watched.
I was like, okay, you know what? There's just no chance. Like
where's the documentary?
Paramount.
Okay.
It was pretty good. I think it was good because I didn't know. Now, of course, I want to watch the trial. But I didn't know anything about the case. And someone that account on Twitter that just told us that they flipped, realized Karen was
non-expert
guilty.
Witness.
Yeah. She or he, I don't know. She or he told me to watch it, and I watched it last night. I couldn't sleep. It was really good, and he had fans. We're showing all the clips from social media, all the people defending him, and he basically admitted he did. There's no doubt.
Was his trial like extraordinarily long, or am I making that up?
I don't think so. No, because I went to look at how long it would take me to watch it, and it wasn't that long.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I kept turning on the trial channel or whatever during that time, and I was like, "Why is this guy still on trial?"
But $100,000 in his GoFundMe. That's fans all over TikTok. I was blown away.
It's, like Karen is aspirational. A lot of these people have criminal histories. A lot of them desperately want to get away with what they've done criminally. Yeah. And they aspire to be the one that got away.
It's wild.
It's gross.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's really gross.
I have to go leave to have dinner with my family, but thank you very much for having me on, ladies. I appreciate it. And
what time are you going on tonight?
7:00, and
cool.
we'll keep the drum beating for the truth. These little information that we can, these drips, keep the story going in social media. That hopefully at some point we can get somebody like a Boston Globe Spotlight team or someone to pick it up. That's all we can do is hope.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
You fight the good fight and hope for the best.
7.
Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, Kev.
Thank you, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin.
Bye.
Kevin is great. I mean, he's been around
So
since the
good,
beginning.
right.
He's like the original OG, him and Kate.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah. Yeah. The two of them, and they've endured a lot.
Yep, him and
Yeah.
Kate. I mean, I remember when Julie and I and Tuesday, with all of us, like when we first came out, the only people that were telling the truth and was Kevin and Kate, literally.
Yep.
Mhm.
That was it.
That was the only place to find anything.
Yes.
Like,
It's amazing how, we found each other because it was very empty of,
It was so empty. It was
Yeah.
but just think about the things that people were saying about them
was
because
insane.
they had the audacity to give their opinion on YouTube.
right.
It's so, I don't know. It's just,
It's so it's crazy. I mean, there's thank God, there's so much more support now. I don't know.
Mhm.
And Kate really is the victim of a conspiracy with what we've seen come out this week. I mean, it's
Right.
insane.
It's crazy.
I think
Yeah.
we're about to be in our Kate era though, because she's mad.
Oh, yeah.
I know, man. I can't
Yeah,
believe
it's
those
time. I
messages we're seeing. I can't believe it.
I said the wrong thing the other night, and not redemption, but vindication. I mean, Kate was right the whole time. He was
Yeah.
targeting her. And then for whatever reason, this other little person decided to join in on his targeting of Kate. And, it really backfired on both of them. And good.
Good.
You got what you deserved.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah. It's crazy, man. I don't know who would believe this guy anymore or follow him or support him. I thought that forever, but now
Just he's having conversations with himself. Like we knew it online with the burners, and he would
It's so
comment on it.
creepy.
But he's literally having a conversation with himself with, private messages. He's messaging Aiden, and then Aiden, and he refers to himself in the third person. I mean, this person is really demented. He's not right in the head. Like no.
That is delusional. I was really creeped out when I saw that.
Yeah.
That was yesterday, I think. I was super creeped out by that. That's a voices in your head kind of thing.
It's so weirdo. Like,
and we know his family's on Twitter. I hope one of his siblings sees this stuff and says, "What in the hell is wrong with you?" Like, something's terribly wrong with that
intervention.
Yeah.
But I'm sure his family has probably tried at certain points.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to assume it. What do you do when you have a relative like that?
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I would use all this stuff to commit him. That's what I would do.
For sure. Seriously.
Mhm.
You need to be medicated.
Thank God that this stuff has come out, though. And
Right.
I mean, for a long time, all of his followers believed what he said about Kate when he was the only person saying all of those things about her, and yet they believed everything he said.
Oh goodness.
That's so good.
Yeah,
The light
that's
up
Aiden
shoes.
talking to Aiden.
Yeah.
Wow.
That video too is crazy of him at the police station trying to get Kate arrested.
I know.
Can I speak to the manager?
It's so wild too, because he's online acting like, First Amendment rights, and I'm not harassing, and this isn't harassment. And then he's also going to the police. I mean, he called 911, right? When he couldn't find his shoe and his key or something. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. For someone who, really, hates the police and thinks everyone's corrupt, he certainly loves to use them.
Yes. Yes.
And I'll say one thing in appreciation for the people who have realized what they were following and what they were promoting and interacting with, because there are a few, and I know y'all have seen them.
For sure.
there are a few people who've been like, yikes,
Yeah.
maybe that wasn't a good idea, and interacted with us since, in a
Sure.
respectful way. So I
Oh
just wanted
yeah.
to
Yeah.
acknowledge
No,
that.
I'm
There's
glad you did acknowledge that, because it is really, it's almost a sigh of relief to
Yeah.
be seeing people speak up and be like, hey, yes, I think they believe Karen is innocent. However, this abuse has been uncalled for on the witnesses.
Yeah, they really
And
have. They have.
because it really felt like, where is humanity?
Right.
Like, I just could not wrap my mind around it. So
I think Tuesday, he really, I mean, I hate using the cult word, right? But he really had them convinced that it was okay.
Mhm.
But even
You're
some of these
allowed.
people that I'm talking about have said, I used to make fun of the people who said it was a cult. It's a cult.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think
You
Meredith
us-
said it. I think
Yeah.
Meredith.
People don't realize you're
did.
in a cult until they pull
You're
out of
out.
it.
Right.
A lot of
Right.
times.
Yeah.
Right.
And smart people can be duped into
Of
being in a
course.
cult, right? It's an emotional pull.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you're missing something in your life, right? And
Yeah.
I think we talked about that too.
Yeah.
And,
So
and you,
when is our
found it.
next show, guys?
yeah, we got to figure that out.
I don't remember.
I know we have one
Yeah,
on
I think John
February
Jackson nailed
3rd.
that. They're missing something.
February 3rd.
I think I'm
right.
behind again.
That's okay. You are, but it's okay.
We might have one before that, though. But I do know.
Yeah, February 3rd.
Story of my life.
Yeah. We'll let you guys know. I think we've got attorney Hafar.
Oh, I love him. I can't wait.
I don't know if I'm saying his name right,
Oh, I
but
love
yeah,
him,
he's
yeah.
Far.
I love him. He's
the
badass.
best.
Badass. Yeah, I love him.
Yeah. And it's going to be one of those things where it's like, maybe last minute, if Court TV calls him, we might have to reschedule.
Okay.
But for now, we are planning that one. I believe
So funny
it's
too.
February.
He's so quick and funny. I can't wait for him.
Yes. Yeah.
He is. I just love how he just said everything I was thinking.
Me too. He's
Just
great.
like, boom. He was one of the few who wasn't afraid to say it. Just
Yeah.
He doesn't
talk about the elephant in the
Guys, this
room.
is what's bad about day shows is because we can all just talk together forever, and it could all of a sudden it'll be 7 p.m. We'll be like,
know.
anyway.
I know. I know. We're probably wearing out the internationals. Are we wearing you out, Martin? Sorry.
All right, y'all ready to wrap it up?
All right.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Well, good job, ladies.
Yeah, that was fun. I liked doing it during the day.
Yeah, me too. Justice for the early to bed people like me and Jenny.
Hey, you know what? I think I saw you on a Spaces pretty late this past
You
week.
shut your mouth.
I was like, I think it's Lydia's bedtime.
Those few days of Spaces were so good.
They were so
Yeah.
good. It was,
They
I
were.
don't watch reality TV. This is what I kept telling people. I have no use for that. But Spaces is as close as I get.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
So I think Ginny just put up, or someone else did, but for our forensic rooms, with that motion to dismiss coming out, guys, the witnesses, the Alberts, McCabes, Brian Higgins, they can use all the help they can get. This is a ginormous financial and hardship for them. It's going to take a lot, and they so appreciate and are so thankful for all of the donations. And if you can help, defendingthetruth.org. If you can't, please say a prayer for them, and just share it if you can. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for everything.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Have a good
Thank
rest of
you.
the weekend, guys.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.